Welcome to an hour of Northern Open Mic, where we believe everyone has a story.
We promote local news, community events, current information and good news stories.
Community first, PBA FM 89.7, because your voice does matter.
Welcome to another hour of Northern Open Mic. The time is 1:30, PBA FM 89.7. You're listening to myself, Sharina, with my beautiful co-hosts, Joe and Pete. Good afternoon.
How you doing?
Good afternoon to you.
I'm doing extremely well. Thank you, guys. Now, we've got a lovely lady sitting in our hot seat today. Vani is her name now. We're really gracious to have her in because she was actually a listener from last week's show who we were talking to Shamila about Ayurveda. And this connection here is a little bit to do with, I guess, an extension of what Shamila was talking about, but specifically yoga today, Vani, which is really interesting because I think there's a lot of myths and facts that we don't know. And you're here to explain this to us, and we've got a whole hour. So I hope our listeners are really relaxed, have a cup of tea, grab those and
get in the right frame of mind.
Frame of mind, because I think we're going to learn a lot.
Namaste, everyone, whoever is listening me. And as Shamim said, that you have to relax and grab some tea, and you have to take a deep breath as well. So just take a deep breath and relax because yoga is all about mind, body and soul relation. The traditional meaning of yoga is union. So union means whenever you unite anything, that becomes yoga. So it's not only with the physical practice is yoga. If you take anything in this whole creation is made up of the union. Without union, nothing can be created. So it's the science of creation, the science of universe, and the science of our consciousness, that we have to believe that we are just not this body, we are just not this mind, not this breath, but we are something more than that. So yoga is a very vast subject and science, but it's good that people are aware at the moment, and which is very much required, because if we see all over the world, the wars are happening, people are dissatisfied. Though we are super in technology at the moment, maybe if we say in thousands of years we are the most developed human beings at the planet, but still wars are happening, people are in depression, and the WHO report says that at the moment 350 million people are in depression, which is like in 20 people, 1 person is depressed. And the suicide rate is like 800,000 people are dying every year from suicide, in which 15 to 20 years old youngsters are more. So it's the time to really think, when the technology is progressing, when the science is progressing, when we have so many things to protect the health and death, but still why the numbers are so high? Why is it there? So somewhere we are lacking and we are not realizing that. So this is the time, because yoga is already a popular form. So just the thing that we are not realizing it in the proper way. B.K.S. Iyengar said, the B.K.S. Iyengar is one of the famous guru, and he has created his own form which is known as Iyengar Yoga. He clearly said that body is the bow, asana is the arrow, and the soul is the target. So what we are doing at the physical form at the moment is just the 10% you say of your whole yoga journey. So just use it as a bow, but your main target should be your mind, your soul, that you have to feel peaceful, content inside. And that's my personal experience. When I was 18, I lost my both parents, and I was nowhere. Because I had no money, I had no studies, I had no qualifications, I was not capable enough to do anything. I was completely helpless and depressed. And then accidentally I came to know about one of the yoga teacher. I went to him. He guided me quite well. And after 2 years of my self-practice, I was at a different platform. My confidence level was so high that I was like, I can win this world. And maybe my parents are not in physical form, but they are with me in their spirits, and their blessings are with me to carry on and move on in my life. And I belong to a very small city of India, where even you don't have, proper technologies to, get yourself very much promoted. So, my confidence was good after 2 years of practice. And I really felt good about it that I didn't try anything for that. I was simply practicing yoga 1 hour in a day, and I was doing my regular stuff. I was studying my graduations. I was meeting with friends. Everything was as usual. The only thing which I included was 1.5 hours of practice yoga every morning, which I did religiously for 2 years, and that brought me up to a very good level. And then my teacher said that you can do a formal studies in that. So then I pursued my post-graduation in yoga therapy from a medical college. And after completing that, I started looking for more knowledge in yoga, more experience in yoga. Then one fine day I met Swami Veda Bharti. He is from the Himalayan tradition. So what happens in India is like we have not only we don't consider teacher only in their physical form. We consider teacher gurus in their spiritual form as well. So the lineage which I follow is Swami Rama's. So Swami Rama is the main guru who is not in physical form at the moment. But he passed his knowledge to Swami Veda Bharti, with whom I met, and then I came to know about all the tradition. This tradition is more about the meditation, subtle movement of your body and breath, which is very subtle, but yes, it gives you very good results overall for good well-being. And I got fascinated towards them. Then I started my studies with them, and their ashram is in Rishikesh, India. And I frequently visit their ashram. When I was in India, I shifted to Adelaide actually 1 year back. Before that, I was living in India, in New Delhi. So I used to very frequently go to ashram and take their blessings, take their education. So since 2008, I am associated with them and initiated with them and following their tradition for my personal practice. I don't teach that tradition because, as I said, it's not about the how many hours you have finished. It's like, when do you feel ready to teach that particular tradition? So I is still following them and grooming my spiritual journey with them, which is a fabulous experience for me, because when you follow a lineage, it's like you feel connected with your guru, especially when you do your meditation. So you feel that he is just around you and he's guiding you and he's taking care of you. He's everywhere. So it's a very, very personal experience and very good for a human being. So that's my journey overall with yoga. I am into yoga for almost 13 years, including my own learning and teaching. And the learning will continue, the teaching will continue.
We might head to a song, because that was a beautiful explanation, and I'd like to delve more into, do you think that, and you can answer this after our first song, of course, but do you think more young people should start it earlier? You had a major influence, a major life-changing altercation, and you're losing both parents, and so you felt you probably needed that spiritual connection. Do you think... and think about it during the song, but that more young people should be deciding to do that without having that major life influence or that curveball thrown at them, and we might have better health down the track? Listening to Northern Open Mic. 1:45 is coming up, PBA FM 89.7. Talking to Vani, breaking those myths and learning about the facts of true yoga in the sense, studying it for 13 years and doing it for 13 years. And we were just discussing before the song just played that a lot of young people are in such high states of anxiety, depression. The rates for suicide are very high. And that maybe if we decided as a younger generation to learn yoga and master that in some way, whether it be for, half an hour or an hour and a half, would we see those benefits flow on?
Yeah, actually, hour or 1.5 hours is not required, to be very true. Because mindfulness is something which you can practice 24 hours just being mindful, but that's a different subject altogether. Here we are discussing why it is important for young generation, or is it important for young generation? So I would say definitely it is important, because from childhood we start training children, isn't it? We put them in school. We put them in primary, then they start studying. So when they are studying qualification, why not this ancient science? It is also a kind of learning which they can implement in their daily life, and they can achieve so much. If it is not implemented at very young age, but still when people reach at their teen age, if you see that teenager mind is so unstable, they just want to do maybe whatever they want, or they are just conditioned by society that much that you have to follow a certain path, and then they feel anxious that maybe they don't want to do that, maybe they don't want to become a doctor, maybe they don't want to become an engineer, maybe they want to just do something in arts or dance, or maybe they just want to travel around the world. But our society has been conditioned so much that people feel congested in that, especially the teenagers, because now in this era the exposure is so much. Like if we talk about 35-40 years back, internet was not that popular, we were not exposed to the world and universe that much, but nowadays everything is exposed so much. Maybe you're just looking at internet, you want to go and visit some place which is very far away, you are maybe play some music which you have heard from different countries. So there are a lot of exposure happening. Exposure is happening, but there is no freedom to do things at your own, and which is bringing lot of congestion in the teenagers, because they are just simply lost at what to do. And then they take what you call, they take as a friend, or you say they take as a substitute, that they start going around with friends, just having maybe drinks, spending their times with friends, because they don't want to feel lonely. If they are lonely, they feel depressed. So they just go out, they get into drugs, they get into alcohol things, so which is ruining the whole next generation. And this is the right time to groom up very well. Otherwise, what will happen? What will happen to the next generation? This generation has to take care of them. So teaching this ancient science is very, very important, because as already I mentioned that the data says the suicidal rate is highest 15 to 29 years of old age people, when the age is to learn, to study, but they get misguided because they don't know what to do. So by teaching this subtle mindfulness, teaching this meditation techniques, teaching yoga to them, will bring that inner strength in them. They will be clear, they will be bold enough to say maybe their parents, no, don't want to do this, I want to do this. They can be more clear in their path what they want to do. And not only sticking to the materialistic things, not only things that, okay, only music, only friends, only these things is life. They will realize that no, life is something more than that. Life is growing yourself, bringing your inner self out, realizing your path, realizing your purpose. In yoga, we have different paths as well. So because each and every individual is different, it's meditation is not not only about sitting at one place and closing your eyes. Maybe it's not suitable for someone else. So we have different paths in yoga, and we have to expose all the paths to our teenagers, and then we have to see that which path they want to go. Maybe they are more into sitting one place and meditation. Maybe with some music they feel more calm and relaxed, and that becomes their meditation. So it's really a good approach, and it is important, as I said, that stress is happening in teenagers and we don't realize because parents are really busy in their work. They think that earning and supplying basic necessities to children is enough. They are lacking in the emotional support because parents don't give enough time to kids. They feel empty in somewhere inside. So to get answers of all these questions, it will be good if we can teach them the ancient science of meditation and yoga, and that will be definitely bring a lot of change in our society. The crime rate can go low. The inventions can happen better because this is the mind which can do the inventions. A matured mind which is already got everything in their age of 40-45 is not the mind which does the inventions. The inventions happen with the help of our new generation. The tender mind which is growing has capability to think much more than old grown mind. So it's the fact that if we will give this science to teenagers, we will be at a new world. We will be in the new world. We will be at the new place where only technology will not be our support, but we will be having the technology, we will be using the technology, but at the same time we will be a better human being as well.
Is this the same across all cultures, the suicide rate and the stress levels?
Which I am telling you right now is the WHO report, which is they have done the survey in 17 countries. So I think it's the overall rate they have given, the average, so which is almost everywhere same. But recently I have read in the news few weeks back that it's happening in more percentage in Australia.
There's a lot more mature age suicides happening now, especially with unemployment, with what's happening for the dairy farmers. So there's a lot of farmers that are knocking themselves.
Yeah, so I just read it in the newspaper, but this report is from 17 countries and it's equal. And it is in every culture, because if I talk about India, like, in India there is a lot of social pressure on the human being because we are very cultured and we are supposed to behave in a certain manner. We have to follow the culture, religion, different things, a lot of things. So it's like, they put the children in school and then they ask to get 90% marks, to get 80% marks, and then they scold children if you don't achieve that level of marks, and people get depressed in that. Of course, every child cannot get 90% marks, and then
it's unrealistic.
And then the parents decide, okay, what my kid need to do. He needs to go for doctorate or for engineering or for maybe some government officer rank. So that parents decide and they impose on the children. So in India, it's again happening in a big way. And with myself also, it happened when I was choosing my subject. So my parents said, you need to become a doctor. And they asked me to choose the science subjects. Though I was very good in maths, I chosen the biology because because I was told to, and I was an obedient child. Okay, I will do that. So it's not only with a certain culture, it's everywhere, because we are living a very conditioned society, which is a very, very hard truth. We are just say do this, do that. So we have decided ourselves what is right, what is wrong, but it doesn't implement on each and every individual.
I would assume that yoga is very good, but our mobile phones and our technology is right at our fingertips, and the feeling that we get from movies and food and our phones is instamatic. We naturally feel good.
Closer to some fingertips than others, I noticed.
Yes, Serena.
I use it for networking. How do you think we got Vani in?
So yoga does embrace technology as well, which just works with, not against.
Not against at all. Actually, what yoga teaches is to become the observer. So what happens, you become an observer and you start observing, not attaching to the things. You say that I'm using this mobile to talk to my parents, but possession that is not there. Oh, this is my mobile, So what happens in yoga, when you practice yoga, you simply become the observer, that things are around you to give you facility, to increase your potential, but you don't have to attach to them. You don't have to possess them. The stress comes when the possessiveness comes, that this is mine.
And the fear of loss as well.
Yeah. And then if you lose it, then you feel, I lost my $1,000 mobile,
That could be quite traumatic for some.
Yeah.
You can bribe kids by saying no phone.
No internet.
It's as simple as, or no internet,
Yeah, but if you will not give them exposure, then they will be behind than the other kids. Then again, the stress will come. Oh, he knows about this thing. I don't know about this.
All the other kids have the mobile. Why don't I have it?
So what we have to teach them, how we can train them is like, okay, child, this is the mobile. This is the function of this mobile, but this is only for this use. You know what I mean? This is not something which you are going to carry all the time with you, and this is what you are. Like right now in this era, we have become our own, part of mobile. If we just forget mobile somewhere, we get anxious. Where is the mobile? Where is my mobile?
Yeah, I left my mobile home today and I've noticed it. I've very much noticed it.
Yeah, who must be calling me? So these questions keep coming. So yeah, at the same time using the technology for enhancement for our progress, but not attaching with them. So that's what yoga teaches, to become just the observer, using things but not really attaching to them.
It's kind of it's very Buddhistic, really, isn't it? The as far as I know, there's Buddhism is all about distancing yourself from attachment.
Yeah, so Buddhism is a part of Indian philosophy. Buddha was Hindu himself, and then he renunciated because in Hindu philosophy or Indian philosophy, you say we have this concept that whenever it happens that the negative powers goes very, very high, someone emerges and give you that instrument so that the positive things come back. So same thing happened when Buddha was born. There was a lot of negative things were happening, and then Buddha got into that questions that what is life, why do people need to die, why there are sufferings. So he got this family and his wife and son, and he started meditating. So actually he was following the path of yoga only, but what happens, like he got enlightened and he spreads that knowledge in a simple language so that everyone can understand that, which was lost from thousands of years back. So he just brought all the knowledge back again in a simpler form. He codified everything into simple form so that it can be spread again. So it's a very much, the Buddhism and the Hinduism are very much close, because it's, you can say, a baby of Indian philosophy only, the Buddhism. Buddha was born in India itself. He was from North India, and then he moved all over the world.
He was a prince.
He was a prince. He was a prince Siddharth. His real name was Siddharth, and he was a prince. And because he do you want to know more about Buddha?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So actually his father was a king, and one of the scholar, the predictors, the astrologers, he already said to Buddha's father that your son is going to be a renunciate and he will enlighten the world. And the king got insecure because he was the only son, and he's like, who will take care of my kingdom then? So what he did, he enclosed Buddha in a palace for maybe years, and he just showed him beautiful things, beautiful gardens, beautiful people around, and only good food. So he doesn't know what suffering is, why people are getting sick. So what happened one day, Buddha said to her chariot that take me around the city, I want to have a look. And he went out without telling his father. And when he went out, he saw an old people begging, and he just got, why is he old? Does old people exist in the world?
If you've never seen it, I guess it would be amazing.
And then he saw a sick person, and then at the end he saw a dead body going on for cremation. Then he asked, what happened to that? Then the charioteer said that the person is died, he's dead. So Buddha was confused. There is sickness, there is sufferings, there is old age, and there is death. So means what we are? Are we very temporary? So he got all these questions in his mind, and one night he just got up. He said sorry to his wife, sorry to his son, and he walked out from the palace without telling anyone. And then he started practicing meditation to know the real knowledge of existence, basically, why we are here, to getting all these answers. And then he meditated for a couple of years, and at some point he lost his patience as well once. Not patience, but he got anxious again, that not happening. So it was a long journey with him. And then one fine day he got enlightened at the place known as Bodh Gaya, where he got enlightened, which is again in North India. And there is a huge banyan tree. Under that tree he got enlightened. That tree still exists there. So that's the whole story of Buddha. Yeah.
I suppose the good thing nowadays is we don't need to walk away from our families to be enlightened. We have you, Vani, to do that. We might go to another song if that's okay. Listening to Northern Open Mic, and the time is 2:00.
When land is cleared too extensively, we lose valuable habitat. Species disappear. Weed and pest species move in. In 1981, the South Australian community formed Trees for Life, a group dedicated to undoing the damage by reintroducing native plants to degraded areas and caring for the bush that remained. Why don't you do something too? Join, volunteer or donate at treesforlife.org.au.
Do you want to give us a call?
8250 3735.
Call us now.
Northern Open Mic is the show, and we're talking to Vani, wellness and yoga practitioner, talking, I guess, the myths and facts about yoga, and I'm seeing a lot of positive things coming from this. I mean, again, it sounds pretty cliche, but this is what I love about our show, learning about topics that normally you might not research or look up, and really grateful that Vani contacted us and expelled all these myths and facts. And Pete, you had a question.
Yeah, Vani, I was just wondering, somebody like me that's never done yoga, how does one start? I mean, do you have to go to yoga classes, or can you do it by yourself, or?
As I said, that yoga is a holistic approach, and there is more, like lot of things you need to do. So it's always suggestible to go for the yoga classes, because what happens when a teacher is guiding you, he or she is guiding you for the breath, for the mindfulness at the same time, and he or she is watching your movement, how you are moving your body. So I really support this thing that you should go to the teacher and learn in yoga classes, because nowadays even the online courses, yoga courses are available, which you can just watch and learn. But if I really talk about the traditional way, so in the tradition, all the students need to be with the teacher for almost many years to learn yoga. So it has been always like guru shishya kind of thing, like teacher-student thing. So I really say that you should do with the teacher, is especially if you are doing asanas, because a lot of body movement is happening in that, to keep your alignment properly and to watch your positions. It's important to go for yoga class. If you are just doing the breathing exercises and pranayam and then just meditation, then of course I can give you a few small tips which you can practice at home with yourself. So one of the practice you can do is like watching your breath, which is the basic form of meditation when you start. So sitting quietly at any place, your spine should be straight, that's all. So you can sit maybe on your chair, you can sit on the floor taking support with the wall, or you can sit in cross legs as you see in many pictures. Yogis are sitting. You don't have to stand on your one leg for that though. So just sitting comfortably, your spine should be straight because the flow of energy happens through the spine, so that has a lot of importance. So just keeping your spine, maintaining the natural curves. Straight doesn't mean that you force it. It should be natural. So that's why I said you can take support from the wall, etc. And close your eyes and just bring your focus towards your breath. Why breath? The question comes very frequently to me. Breath, because breath is what is our life. Can you call life if there is no breath? So actually you are not focusing only on your breath. Your breath is everything. In yogic language, this is called prana. So it's not only the mixture of gases you are inhaling, it's carrying the life force, the vital energy inside us, which keeping us alive. So for this, I give a very good example. When a person is in coma, the oxygen mask is there. So the oxygen is going, but still we call that person in coma, though the digestive system, the heart, the brain working, but still the consciousness is not there. So that consciousness is called prana, which brings the vitality in the body. So that's why the breath is so important. So when you bring your awareness towards your breath, simply keep your maybe hand on your belly if you want. Otherwise, sit comfortably. When you inhale, just feel that your belly coming out. When you exhale, you feel that belly going in. So that's the natural rhythm of your body and breath. And watching that quietly for 5 minutes in a day can bring a lot of changes in your mindfulness. So that's the basic practice which I teach even in my classes and encourage people to do that. Even when I teach yoga asanas, I keep telling them, keep your breath awareness, because yoga is the practice of your mind, body, breath and soul. So if you're leaving any of the component, the whole yoga approach is not correct. So it's not only stretching, getting good flexibility. These are the bonus plus points of yoga practicing. But we have to remember that ultimate goal is to uplift our consciousness level, a good well-being, to become a good human being.
Are there, say, good yoga teachers and not so good yoga teachers, or are they all sort of teaching exactly the same? So somebody who thinks, I'm going to give yoga a go, how do they know?
That's a very critical question you have asked me.
We don't always ask easy questions.
See, I guess it's all about the training, isn't it?
It's all about the training. It's all about how you are feeling about the particular subject, because I believe that yoga comes from your heart. You just can't become a good yoga teacher by just saying that or just by imitating that. It comes from heart. And that's what I get feedback in my classes. Last night also 2 ladies came to me and they said, I have tried many classes, but I feel different in your class somehow. So whatever reason is there, I don't know. But when I teach my class, it's all coming from my heart. I never program anything. I never write that I have to teach this and that. I just enter inside the class, feel the energy of people. Sometimes you get more old people, sometimes you get more young people. So when you enter in the class, you really need to feel the energy, and accordingly you have to guide them. So it's not about being good or bad. It's just being about genuine with people. I really don't appreciate that thing, just putting people into difficult poses which they can't do, which is not good for their body, just to make them little bit more sweaty, and you know what I mean, that they should feel they have done something very strong physically, is not really, I find, a correct approach. That's fine. So just be genuine with your students that you are teaching yoga to them in a holistic approach and guiding them in a holistic way. That's it.
So the student should feel
a calm, relaxed mind after the practice, and lightness in your body. So that's important.
You said lightness in your body. You sort of feel lighter. Is that?
Yes, and it's true. Why it is true? Because we have the energy channels, we call it nadis. So with yoga asanas, the nadis get open, the energy channels get open, and the flow of energy, the prana, vital force, which I have mentioned earlier, the vital force start flowing in your body so well that you feel that lightness in your body.
That makes total sense, because when I had postnatal depression, I always felt a heaviness either on my back or in my chest, and I just felt heavy, like I'd put on weight, and I hadn't. But that makes total sense to me now, because now that depression has passed, I feel lighter, and I don't feel like I've got like an elephant sitting on me, if that makes sense. It was that kind of, like I just wanted to breathe, and whether it was anxiety, the depression, but that breathing technique would sound perfect if you were stuck in an anxious moment. The dentist comes to mind.
Yeah, well, I was wondering, I've got a physical disability. Is yoga okay for people with disabilities?
Of course it is. It's just that you need a customized program for yourself, so that the trainer can give you exactly what your requirements are, which postures you cannot do, which postures you can do, which is good for you. So yoga is for everyone. In Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it's an ancient scripture on yoga. It is clearly mentioned that it is for old, young, sick. It is for everyone. Everyone can do this without failure. Even a person who is bedridden can practice.
Now, how do people get in contact with you?
I do have my email address, which is vanishukla01@gmail.com, and my number is 04697374148. I teach Monday at Glenanga Hub 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., which is my own class, so I'm not really bound to a certain style there. I teach authentic traditional Hatha Yoga in that class, incorporating with the breathing exercises and meditation. So you can come for that class if the place suits you. It's Glenanga Hub, close to Glen Osmond Road, or you can contact me anytime you want. Feel free to contact. Just one sentence I would like to say. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. So be the change you want to see in the world. And so this is small change of mindfulness and yoga practice can do miracles. Trust me on that.
We'll have links on our Facebook page to yours.
Yeah, she has my Facebook page link.
I did.
Yep, I've seen it already.
If being a dietitian, how much does food, we've got a few minutes left, how much does food play a part in yoga practice? Clean eating, clean living, get rid of all that toxicity in our lives?
Actually, in yoga, the yogic diet has been explained. Do you want me to tell you about that?
You've got about 5 minutes. Can you do it in 5 minutes, Vani?
Okay, so I quickly explain you one shloka in that. So I'm not reciting this Sanskrit one because that doesn't make sense here because we have less time. So the shloka says that when you eat the yogic diet, it should be just half a stomach whenever you eat. Just whatever you want to have, just half of that. 1/4 is filled with water, and 1/4 leave empty for air circulation. That's the yogic diet we prescribe. So means having half. If you want to have 2 breads, just have 1 bread and leave 1/4 for air circulation and 1/4 with water. So that's the yogic diet which is described in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika again, and they really emphasize on the anshas and sweet food because they are sattvic, good in nature. They bring goodness in the body. So yes,
I take it meat is out and off the menu.
It's a vegan diet.
Slightly.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What about fish?
Fish
They're
is
still
also-
alive.
Yeah, the non-veg is not that's called tamasic food. If I say that, food of ignorant people.
You know how to make a guy feel really good.
Yeah, so but that's completely yogic diet I'm telling you here, but there is a modern diet chart as well which you can incorporate in 1200 kilocalories are ideal. If you are on weight loss, then it's 1200. If it's not the weight loss program, then it varies individual
What about a bigger
individual.
person, they need more food, surely.
Yes, of course. So when we calculate, we take the age, the height, and the body weight, and then we calculate how many calories you need. It's
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah,
I was
it's
starting to think I might be hungry.
No,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, yeah, the idea of being half full terrifies me.
It's very alien.
But it helps a lot in Hindi. I know one line which says that rogi means patient. A patient eats 4 times in a day, and bhogi means who is into worldly things. He eats twice in a day, and the yogi who is like a yogi, he eats just once in a day.
So it's a very different diet to what they tell us to do now.
Yeah, but it's all yogic way, and it's I know it's not very practical. It's just written in the scriptures, and people who just practicing yoga and not doing anything else, it is for them. But for general population, just following 12 to 1500 kilocalories of diet is good enough.
Is it
And
true?
no meat.
Yeah, well, you can choose a better kind of meat, like white flesh is always suggestible. The red meat has more fat in that, so the red meat is not always suggested, but white meat is fine, like fish and chickens.
Ha!
There you go.
Chicken's back into
You can
it.
be happy.
Because if I will say no, then nobody's going to call me back.
Is it fair to say only eat when you're hungry? Is that the Ayurveda way?
Yes.
Yes. That makes sense to
Yeah,
me.
because that's your body system, and the body tells you when you need food,
So we've literally programmed ourselves that if it's breakfast, we need to eat breakfast. If it's lunch, we need to eat lunch and tea
Yeah,
and then snacks
whether or
in
not
between.
you need it.
And because everything's at our fingertips in the shops and full of, salt and all those good tasting things,
Yeah.
and we're not moving as much, we're not running
We're
away
run
from
by a clock. We look at a clock and it's 12:30. It's time for lunch.
That's right.
It's eating time.
It's eating time.
Yeah. So we are not that conditions. We can think, we can feel. So why not use
those things.
signals?
That makes sense.
We have intellectual, we are super consciousness level.
We just got to listen to our bodies.
Yes.
Vani, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We've learnt a lot in this hour. And what are your contact details again for our listeners?
It's 046 9737 148.
Lovely stuff. Thank you, Vani.
Thank you so much having me here.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Joe and Pete. From us to you, our listeners, it's goodbye.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
I thought you'd forgotten.
Never forget. I got a mind like an elephant. Crowded House is our last song. Either Side of the World, coming up for, of course, Living in the 70s with Bruce.